You've just written a book about meaning. We've been talking about the self, the biological roots of some of these questions. And the question is, do we need to kind of do this deep dive into what meaning is based on what some of these people have been saying? And where do you go with that?
You know, I think that we're all here because we acknowledge that we do, and that probably most of the people in this room, and I would certainly think that the people on this panel, given our discussion in the green room, have a certain element of being seekers within us, and that in particular, one of the things that inspired me to write my book was the fact that, for decades now, if you take for hundreds of years, like life has objectively gotten better. So rates of violence are down, people are less likely to die of starvation and disease. That thousands of people each day are being lifted out of poverty, and yet more people feel hopeless, depressed, alone. The suicide rate has been rising for decades. It reached a 30-year high in the U.S. Just last spring. And when you look at what's driving this, what's driving it, according to the research, is a feeling among people that their lives are not meaningful, that kind of religious grounding, that spiritual grounding that for thousands of years gave people clear answers to both what the meaning of life is and how can I lead a meaningful life, is no longer there for people as the default path to meaning. And so we're left on our own to figure out the answer to this question. And I think that's why we see a lot of people turning to Stoicism as kind of a source of spiritual fulfillment. It's this non-religious kind of spiritual path. I think it's why we see a lot of people turning to kind of neuroscience and psychology as a answer to this question, another secular answer. And so I think it's essential. I mean, Viktor Frankl, the Holocaust survivor, was right that we have this will to meaning, and that if we don't experience our lives as meaningful, we suffer. And whether that means kind of experiencing boredom and angst on a day-to-day basis, or feeling like we need to end our lives. And I think it's pretty clear, according to the research shows, that the only way to find that sense of satisfaction and that sense of grounding is to have things in your life that give it meaning. For a lot of people, those things already exist, and you just have to open your eyes to them, whether it's your family, your job, realizing your talents, as you were saying.